Hey my friends, in this video I'm going to show you ambient guitar chord inversions and 2 exercises that you can practice to master them on the fretboard. So I've said that many times before, but if you want to play ambient guitar, you want to spread out your voicings because it leaves more space to the notes in the chord to ring through the reverbs and the delays that you're going to use. So for example, if I want to play an A major chord, I need the notes A, C sharp, and E. And if I play all of these notes clustered together in the same area, especially lower on the fretboard, it does not leave enough space for the notes to breathe. So what we do is we take one note of the chord, for example, the middle note here, C sharp, and we spread it 1 octave higher. It's still the same note, just an octave higher, and then we refret the voicing and we get... And now it has more space to breathe, especially this note on the top shines a lot more. And if you don't know that kind of shape, this is what I teach in my free mini course on spread triad chords. So if you have never enrolled before, it's the first link in the description box below. It's an online course of 45 minutes. I'm going to show you major, minor, suspended, diminished chord shapes with spread triads and many chord progressions to read with lots of downloadables. So if you've never taken it, it's the first link below. But once you learn a chord like this is not the only option. This is what we call the fundamental position, when the root of the chord is the lowest note. But what we can do is to have the third of the chord as the lowest note, which we call the first inversion, or the fifth of the chord as the lowest note, which we call the second inversion, and that's what I'm going to show you today. The only criteria here is that the note has to stay spread, so that one of the notes is separated from the rest, so that it breathes a lot more, right? So that's the fundamental position. The first inversion would be like this. So we've got exactly the same notes, C sharp, A, and E, just in a different order. And the second inversion with the fifth as the bass note would be like this. So now the E is the lowest note. So you've got fundamental, first inversion, second inversion. So you can start practicing only that if you want. And then if you want to play a minor chord, minor spread triads, we're going to do them from B minor because we're going to need it for the exercises I'm going to show you later in this lesson. So the first one, the fundamental position on B minor is like this. You can play them in 2 ways. I like to use my pinky on the 5th string, but you could bar it and play only the notes that you need with finger picking only like this. Right? For the second inversion, we need to build the same kind of shape, but instead of a major shape, we need to push down the major third for a minor third, so 1 fret below. So that's quite a big stretch. It's like a 5 fret span, right? So that's the first inversion for a minor chord, and the third inversion is like this. Right, so this one you have no choice to bar it and play only the notes that you need with finger picking. Or find a way to mute the other strings, right? So for the minor chord, this is... And if that first inversion is too much for you, it's too stretchy, what you can do is to find a... alternative voicing by taking the pinky, which is the stretchier note, and finding it on the 3rd string instead. So it's going to be the 4th fret on the 3rd string. So if we refret it, it goes like this. Right? So it's still a bit of a stretch, but it's a 4 fret span instead of 5, right? And while we're here, we're going to try to refret the other chords too, to play more in the same area, right? So instead of playing the fundamental position here, we can play it here. So it's exactly the same notes. But then it's going to be in our area of fret 4 to 7, right? So fundamental, first inversion, and then the second inversion, we're going to play it like this. right? So that's an alternative to the same thing. So you've got the first version and the second version. So now you've got all inversions for major and minor chords. So I'm going to give you exercises to practice so that you can become more fluent with those inversions and you play them in the context of chord progressions. So the first exercise, we're going to play from A to B minor, right? So one bar of A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and B minor, one bar, 3, 4. If you were to write a song like this and stay on the same chord, it might get boring after a while because it's very static, right? So what we can do is to play 2 inversions per bar instead of staying on the same chord. So instead of staying it for 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, we could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So the first inversion of A major. And then what we're going to do is that when we need to go to the B minor chord, instead of going back to the fundamental position, we're going to find the closest position to where we were, right? So the closest one to the first inversion of A major is this one. It's the first inversion of B minor, right? And it almost looks like it's a mirror of the first one, right? It's just like, right? And then we're going to play 2 per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then same thing, we're going to change to the closest inversion, which is the second one. And we're going to go back down. And then again to B minor, fundamental, and we go again. So I'm going to put the tabs of that if you want to practice that. And I'm going to do it slowly as an example. And then after, if you want, you can start adding rhythms or little finger picking things like this. Really nice. And then if you want to practice all versions of the minor chord, because we've seen them in 2 different areas, right? I'm going to give you a second exercise. So now we're going to go from A to B minor like the last time, but then we're going to go from A to A minor so that you can practice the different kinds of minor chord shapes. So this time we're going to play all inversions up and down the fretboard for the whole bar, and then we're going to change to the next chord. So we're going to play A major, fundamental, first inversion, second inversion, and going back down to the first inversion. And then we're going to play the B minor chord, all inversions, then back to A. And then we're going to change to A minor, right? So the other alternative voicings, right? And then back to A. So once again, I'm going to give you the tabs and I'm going to play it slowly as an example. And back to the top. So that's what you can practice to master all chord inversions with major and minor ambient chord shapes, spread triads. And if this was too fast and too difficult for you, it's too much of a stretch, it's too advanced for you, I really encourage you to go check out my free mini course on spread triad chords. It's the first link below. I'm going to show you only the fundamental positions, which are a lot easier to play, and then we're going to expand on that by showing you major, minor, diminished, suspended chords, and how to use them in the context of chord progressions. So there are actually a lot of downloadables that you can get in the course where you can keep the chord charts for future reference, but also many chord progressions to read and to show you these chords in the context of real music. So if this is something you're interested in, go click on the first link in the description box and enroll. It's totally free. So I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I'm going to see you real soon. Until next time, au revoir.